The first three panels of the Beyond the Impasse conference examined the themes of diversity, equity, and inclusion from a theological perspective. The first panel on diversity may have been the most wide-ranging. Participants addressed a variety of topics, including diversity in the secular academy, competing liberal and Christian theories of justice, and how to productively integrate competing narratives about American history. Here are some highlights.
Here's a central idea. The commitment to diversity only makes sense in the context of a more foundational commitment to unity. The unity gives an explanation for the diversity. It tells it what it's for. It's good to have diversity in a basketball team, for instance, but not diversity for diversity's sake. It's good to have big guys who can rebound and block shots, smaller, quicker guys who can shoot and handle the ball. It's of course bad to have guys that have poor hand-eye coordination. But when diversity is invoked in a secular academic context, at least outside of DEI, which I think makes DEI interesting, the fact that unity is required to make sense of it is often explicitly denied or acknowledged only obliquely at the margins, like when someone says, well, I guess we got to exclude Holocaust deniers or something. But for Trinity-worshiping Christians, people who are many parts finding our unity in the body of Christ, we should be more ready than most to say there needs to be a substantial check on diversity by a commitment to unity. We should not hide it, we should not grudgingly admit it, or speak only about it when pushed to the extremes. We can and should be clear and confident about it, especially since there's really no way of escaping it. I love this recent tweet from Philip D. Bunn, who said, quote, "I recall a conversation with my undergrad college president where I asked how he felt in terms of academic freedom going from an Ivy to a school with a rigid statement of faith. His response was, quote, "Every school has a statement of faith, some just write them down," end quote. But the problem that has existed for some time now in secular higher education is that their commitment to diversity is either genuinely unaware of its substantial and prior commitment to unity, or they're being disingenuous or playing games about what a term like diversity is being used to affect, especially as a weapon at the service of advancing a particular unified agenda. It can be extremely difficult to keep the inherent dignity of the person with whom we profoundly disagree in the front of our minds. But we need to. Fear and anger can blind us to our own biases and cut us off from real exchange with someone else. And there may be, in fact, good reasons to be profoundly angry. And this should be fully honored, while at the same time acknowledging that the fundamental reality of the person in front of you is the starting point for any serious exchange.
DEI, or EDI as it is known in England, is a concept that belongs, unquestionably, to the corporate world. Like any concept that is best known by its acronym, it is instantly demoralizing. It renders questions that seem to start out as matters of basic fairness into the same grim tonality as ROI, KPI, IPO, SME, GDP, or GNP. Indeed, whether it is DEI, POC, CRT, or LGBT, the language of supposed political radicalism has become, by some mysterious alchemy, transmuted into the banal babble of the boardroom. I raise all this not in order to rehearse all the rather boring posturing of cultural critiques, but because I believe language tells us something. We can see, first of all, that this is a machine language, compressed and encoded, designed to be typed, texted, and transcribed, swiftly and efficiently. It's also intentionally obscurantist and occult, intended to exclude the uninitiated and catch out the unprepared. It disorients and disarms. It is a language of power, engineered to overawe the individual and crush independent thought. It is not the language of ordinary men and women, and it's certainly not the language of the oppressed or the marginalized. Modern institutions, even when supposedly putting themselves into the service of society and its weakest members, somehow contrive to render everything into symbolism of administrative authority. DEI has not served to strengthen the hand of the worker, but has instead opened up a previously sacrosanct area of her life, her thoughts, her conscience, her very identity, and made it a matter to be regulated by her employer. A human justice, a social justice, can never be subcontracted, never outsourced. It is only realizable between human persons, acting in solidarity. Through social justice, we are, in the words of Dr. King, caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. Unlike Rawls's vision of justice, It is an endeavour that must be built block by block by individuals pursuing and practising virtue. It is built not on private self-interest, but on shared sentiments, shared loves, and shared tears.
In short succession, we've had the 1619 versus 1776 debate, the call for the removal of Confederate monuments, the blow-up over AP African American Studies curriculum, a precipitous rise in library book challenges and bans across the country, and struggles over CRT and DEI with bannings of each. These struggles tend to conform to two dominant modes of interpreting the country's past. One, a nefarious origins lens, and two, the triumph of ideals. The nefarious origins mode utilizes a dark lens that emphasizes the nefarious character of the American founding and the subsequent line of injustices flowing out of it. The triumph of ideals emphasizes the strength of founding ideals and minimizes the ravages wrought upon Native Americans, enslaved Africans, and others marginalized from the beginning. To be clear, the triumphalist approach does not deny these dark chapters, but it does tend to greatly minimize them. Much of our public debate cycles back and forth across these two poles. But there is a third position coming out of the Black intellectual tradition, which I think is best described as the integrative blues. The integrative blues stance holds in creative tension the critique at the heart of the nefarious origin story and the stirring vision of the triumph of ideals. Writers and activists of the Black intellectual tradition, including Phyllis Wheatley, David Walker, Frederick Douglass, Anna Julia Cooper, James Baldwin, Toni Morrison, and artists and musicians like Henry Osawa Tanner, Bessie Smith, Mahalia Jackson, Jacob Lawrence, and Romare Bearden, have sustained this integrative blues stance by engaging in imaginative re-envisioning that simultaneously laments injustice, reaffirms our highest ideals, and points the country toward new, life-giving ways of being and living well together.
The Beyond the Impasse conference was a success, and we're now at work preparing the next round of working groups and seminars to connect our work with leaders in the worlds of business and education. If you would like to support the Beyond the Impasse project or are interested in learning more, please use the links on display here or in the video description below. Thanks for your support.